Yo, we step up in the scene, check your engine is clean. DPF guys got your ride smoking green. No block, no drag, just pure machine. Come show us your truck, we'll make it pristine. We just wanna know, can your diesel uphold? Bring something dirty, we'll turn it to gold.
Okay, folks, hello. It is Sunday, October 13th, 2024, and it is our live diesel Q&A from DPF Guys. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Before either of us forgets, make sure that if you're watching me on YouTube, or anywhere else for that matter, if there's a like button around, just poke that thing. And YouTube, subscribe to DPF Guys channel so you don't miss any of this stuff in the future. And what else was I going to say? If you are watching anywhere else, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you want to find us on YouTube, that is youtube.com/DPF Guys. And if you don't know already, we are DPF Guys based in Atlanta, Georgia. We focus 100% on diesel aftertreatment services for anything with a diesel engine and an emission system. Most of our customers are fleets, mechanics, and owner-operators, but we also service after-treatment for diesel equipment like tractors, excavators, earth movers, skid steers, forklifts, etc. And also as well about stuff, we also service stuff that doesn't move, and that's going to be equipment like your generators, your pumps, rock crushers, and more. I like to say if it has a DPF, we can clean it, and recommend that you text us or call us at 404-999-1361. And again, that would be, my phone number isn't showing up here. That would be 404-999-1361. And if we miss you, we will give you a call back or a text back. Disclaimer. You should always talk to your mechanic about any concerns you have with your engine or your truck. And any pricing discussed here may or may not apply to you and should only be used as a guideline and is not any form of official quote for services by us or anybody else for that matter. And if you check us out, we're actually live on TikTok right now. Where the heck is it? Let's see. We're live on TikTok as well. And I don't know why my pip isn't showing up here. Normally what I would do is I would show off the TikTok live at the same time, but for some reason it's not showing up. That's me. Darn it. I broke my camera switcher, so bear with me there. But trust me, we are live on TikTok. And so if you want to jump over to TikTok and join the live, there are a bunch of people on here right now, 17, 18 people. And they're going to be asking me some questions. Normally what I do is I answer the YouTube type questions first, and then follow up on TikTok. But everybody on TikTok has been so very patient with me. So what I want to do here is look at their questions and answer those first. So here's my phone. I'm going to be talking to these people here. All right. So what do we have? I'm going to scroll back through some of these questions. Let me show you what I got going on. All right. Thank you for all the likes on TikTok, by the way. Keep sending me those hearts. It means a lot to the TikTok algorithm. It means a whole lot. All right. Brandon Goes Trucking. If you're not following Brandon Goes Trucking, do so. He is a hoot. Don't take him too seriously, though, because you'll give yourself a heart attack. He hardly ever eats lunch in the fuel island. DPF California, Hector Ramon. I'm not sure exactly what that means, if you want to expound on that. All right, Armando Fuentes, 2020 W900 Kenworth X15. How much for a new filter? Armando, you would need to get me your VIN, and then we can cross-reference that for you. But I guess more importantly, Armando, I would want to know why are you looking for a new DPF? Is yours cracked or somehow malfunctioning? Because you may not need a new DPF. But Armando, if you could please text your VIN, write down this phone number, 404-999-1361, 404-999-1361. And I can quote you on a new filter if you send me your vehicle identification number. All right, what else we got here? Thank you for the likes. Please, you tap my big fat face, get some likes in there. Um, all right, what do we got here? Oh, Kojo, thanks. Man, thanks for jumping on the live. That means a lot. So Kojo, 1974 here. Um, he gave us a call. I was out running some errands, and I was able to, talk to him briefly about his truck. He's got a 2016 Freightliner, and the codes he showed me was, look, just DPF related, which is a relief, because the early model year for 2016 did have a tendency to require new one boxes. But the codes he showed me and talked to me about were just a matter of, due to miles and soot level, he needs a one box cleaning. We're going to get that taken care of for him. So that's good news. However, if you do need a new one box, we do sell them. Scott, I'm thinking that Trump likes to, like he said himself, he loves clean air and loves clean water. He's not gonna pump a bunch of black soot into the into the air. And good luck changing those laws. Those have been around for a long time. Um, hang on a second here. And if I got to look for a new job, I look for a new job. It wouldn't be the first time. Okay. All right, folks, I'm going to quick look to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Great. So now I'm going to go and actually answer the questions that came in here. So we got question number one. Hold on a second. When this came in here, bear with me a minute. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. 2023 X15, 250,000 miles, no codes, but constantly doing self regen when you start to move. Now, if your truck idled all night because you were snoozing, and the truck was idling so that you could watch TV and stay cool, stay warm, whatever you got to do, and then you wake up, you stretch, have a cup of coffee, and now it's time to hit the road, and the truck goes into a passive regen at that point, that'd be pretty normal. Now, if that truck is calling for a parked regen, every time you start to move it, it's time to clean that filter. And I would be curious as to why the filter is dirty at only 250,000 miles. But I'm thinking what you're talking about is a passive regen, which I would say would be perfectly okay. I'd be okay with that. Oh, no idle has APU. Well, in that case, I would be highly surprised that it would. Now, Leaf Butler, talking about your X15, is that is it calling for a parked regen, or is this going into passive regen at that point? I never worry about passive regens. I only worry about parked regens. If you got a truck and it calls for a parked regen, it's basically saying it's time to get my DPF clean. Are we kidding me? When are they going to start making, they do make we sell a lot of them. They do make aftermarket filters, and you can just change it out. And we have some people that do that. It's called our swing program, where we will sell them a brand new filter. The aftermarket filters do comply with all of the standards. They pass everywhere. They do have a 3-year warranty, unlimited mileage. And what's really nice is you get Steelers 32, Raiders 13, go Steelers. You get the ability to swap out a filter. Your truck's not down for any amount of time at all. However, if you did have a filter that needs cleaning, your truck is only in for a day, and you are back out and good for another 2, 3, 400,000 miles. Trying out my new soundboard. Oh, check this out. What do we got here? All right, I'll play with that later. All right, so I hope that answers your question. I don't, like if it's just a passive regen, I wouldn't worry about it too much. 250,000 miles, I would definitely recommend using the Clean Air Fleet additive. Just passive does it constantly. You know what, Leaf? I would definitely say a fuel additive would probably make a big difference for you, because if it's going into passive regen, that means that it's detecting soot level buildup. and you can reduce that by using an additive like Clean Air Fleet. Um, but or it's possible that you might have a sensor. You might have a sensor that's not reading correctly. But 250,000 miles, you're getting up there where without using an additive, you're probably to the point where it wouldn't hurt to get that DPF cleaned. Um, but I tell people to think about getting the DPF cleaned at 200,000. You're 250. It's not like you've got to stop everything and get it done right away. But if this becomes a nuisance, or if that truck says, "Hey, I need a park regen," that means it's time. Clinton Kirker, if you're listening, I hope to see you tomorrow. For pickups. God, I tell you what, I don't know why. I just think it's because of that. It would be so expensive to make an aftermarket for that. By the time they did all of that in the quantities that they would do it, it wouldn't be any cheaper than the replacement for the pickup. The good news is, even though the manufacturer initially intended for those to be a replaceable part, they don't need to be replaced. They can be cleaned, and they can be cleaned quickly and effectively. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you've got something that needs to get taken care of, just let me know, and we can definitely take care of you. Okay, I'm going to go through a couple of questions here. So hang tight, those of you who are on TikTok. And I would recommend Clean Air Fleet. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. Shameless plug coming at you. Clean Air Fleet. If you want to learn more about that, just text the word additive, ADDITIVE, to 404-999-1361. Okay, let's jump over to camera one here, and let's start going through our questions. And I'm going to check to see if anybody's asked anything here. Not yet. That's good. All right, so question number one. Let's see, what did this guy try to do? Donald Tribet from TikTok. I tried to paste a photo from my library, but I'm new enough to this platform that I haven't figured out how to do it yet. But there is a question in this text. Pittsburgh Power Fuel-Borne Catalyst. I stopped using it after I replaced the whole one box on my 2019 Freightliner Cascadia. My buddy still swears by it. I was wondering on your take on the usefulness of this product. Thank you, Don. All right. Used properly, I don't think that Clean Air Fleet should have any negative effect on your one box. However, it's very, very, very important that you don't overdose your truck when using Pittsburgh Power, that type of catalyst. It's perfectly okay. You can double dose or you can overdose your truck when using Clean Air Fleet. Doesn't hurt it. But the additive products like Pittsburgh Power, you absolutely cannot overdose that, or you can cause serious damage to your engine and your after treatment. Not knowing what was actually going on with your 2019 Freightliner Cascadia, it's also possible that you didn't need a new one box, and that was just what the dealer came up with. Or maybe you had a hairline crack in it, whatever it was. But 2019 is a good year for the Detroit after treatment. I don't see many failing one boxes in the 2019 Freightliner. But if somebody didn't thoroughly and correctly diagnose your truck, they might have come to the conclusion you needed a new one box when you did not. So I don't know the details. So the additive that you were using might not have had any impact on it whatsoever. And you might have had a one box that was actually okay. So if the dealer said you needed a new one box when you didn't, there you go. Hopefully that's not the case. I would love to dig into this deeper, but like you said, you can call me at 404-999-1361, and I'll give you a hand with this any way I can. All right, let's go to number two. Also from TikTok. I have a question. I have a 2023 X15 with 6.7. So let's see. I'm always thinking, is that the 6.7 Cummins? But that's not. So if you've got a why the heck would you have so much soot in a 2023? Unless you're driving team and you're just going and going and going. But like I said before, if your truck is asking for a park regen, it's asking for a DPF cleaning. Now, if you're telling me that your 2023 only has, 175,000 miles on it or something, I would say that the likelihood that you need to get that thing cleaned is very low, and I wonder if you might have something like a failing pressure differential sensor or something like that. Um, Took it to the dealer, they said the filter needs to be cleaned. It asked for a parked regen within 8 hours of driving. Um, so I'm assuming that what you're telling me is you took it to the dealer, it said it needed to be cleaned, and they cleaned it? Maybe, did they clean it? Um, and then 8 hours of driving, it asked for a parked regen again. I'm wondering if they didn't clean it properly, or the issue wasn't a dirty DPF to start with, because it would be very unusual for a truck that new to require DPF cleaning so soon. Um, so I wonder if you might have a sensor that's going bad, because that's how there's one sensor that monitors the pressure of the exhaust going into the DPF, and a sensor, and it also one side monitors the pressure going in, one side monitors the pressure going out. And if it's got to push too hard to get that exhaust through, it says, "Whoops a daisy, the DPF is getting full. I'm going to go into either passive regen or request a parked regen and burn that soot up." Um, so possibly you have a failing sensor, or you might have a seventh injector, which is a very important part of your DPF system. It's the part that creates the necessary heat to burn the soot off. You might have a seventh injector that's not working quite right, which might ask for. Well, actually, it says it asked for a parked regen within 8 hours of driving, which, you pick your truck up after the filter has been cleaned, if it was cleaned properly. Then 8 hours later, it's asking for a parked regen. That would kind of tell me that the issue is potentially with the seventh injector. And there's also on that X15, I did a video about this. In fact, um, hold on a minute. Let's see if I can actually pull that video up for you. Folks on TikTok, you're not going to see this. This will actually be on YouTube, but hold on a minute. I'm going to go over here and let's see if I can find this baby. And let me play this video for you here. Okay, so this is the part that actually control it. It uses air pressure to push the fuel through the seventh injector. And what happens is if you have water in your fuel, it will cause some rust buildup in your fuel system and will um, cause some of these parts to fail. So, and then what happens is even if your physical seventh injector, which is like the nozzle that the diesel is pushed through during a passive or active regen, passive or parked regen, um, that this particular piece that we're talking about here will stop working or will not work properly, and it won't push the fuel through. And you can really spend a lot of time and money trying to diagnose and troubleshoot this when the problem is actually this part right here. I'm I'm muted here, but I'm playing this TikTok video of that seventh injector control. Yeah, that's the great advice, which is before you spend money on one thing, fix the other thing first, and that's why it's important to change your air cartridge, and also just make sure that your system is dry. You don't have any additional water building up in there, which can cause rust. All right, let's finish this thing up here. See, there you have it. So, with that particular part, that was an X15 also. So, you might very well have an issue with that because the truck will not regen if that component's not working correctly. Now, the part he was showing was on the driver's side, the seventh injector is on the passenger side. So, it's often you'll be sitting there focused on the seventh injector going, "What's going on?" You don't realize that it actually is getting the fuel from the other side. And if you know what to look for, you can replace that part very quickly and be back on the road. But I have a feeling that because you got your filter cleaned and then it started asking for parked regens 8 hours later, something's happening where the truck is not properly regenerating. The one thing you could do to diagnose this issue on your truck would be simply have a friend of yours with a laptop put the truck into regen and look at the temperatures for DOC inlet and then DOC outlet, or it's also called DPF inlet. They're the exact same thing. Just depends whether the temperature sensor is in the outlet of the DOC or in the inlet of the DPF. They're all just like this far apart. And I think on your truck, you would have a DPF inlet. So you want to see during a regen, you want to see that outlet, the DOC inlet temperature be above 700 degrees Fahrenheit and the DOC outlet temperature around 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It could be, 989, 990. It's actually 1,112 degrees is kind of the going temperature for a regen. But I have a feeling you might have something wrong with your truck, that is where the filter clogging up and asking for parked regens is a symptom, and it's not actually the root cause, and it's probably something to do with the regen system itself. All right, had another question come in from TikTok here, and it was another regen question here. I'm going to pin this so we can take a look at it. And I wish we could just like filter the questions here. Thank you everybody who's on the live on TikTok, by the way. Oh, dang it. Where are you? Okay. John. Gonna pin this baby. Okay, here's the question. Truck constantly doing regens, codes go away, then 80 miles later, same issue. John, I would be willing to bet that it's been a while since you've gotten those DPFs cleaned, and you probably it's just time to get them cleaned. And your truck is, that DPF is full of ash, not ass, but ash. And what you'll get is you can't reduce the ash any further. So you'll get it's a small layer of soot, and you'll be able to burn that off. But then there's not any more room in the garbage can. No matter how hard you push your foot down in it, sometimes you got to take that can out to the street and dump it into into the dumpster. So John, phone number. Are you ready? Do you have it memorized yet? 404 niner 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 1361 404 999 1361. Give us a text and say, "Hey, this is John. I'm the guy with the frequent regens," and we can give you some advice on that. And if you're not too far from Atlanta, meaning if you're anywhere from Maine to Maine to New Mexico or whatever, come and see us. We can take care of that for you. But we can help diagnose that a bit so you can save some money and time and figure out what's really going on. And if I miss any of your questions, I apologize. 250,000 on it, we never idle. Okay. Well, there it is. I would say, um, I mean, 250,000 could be time for a DPF cleaning. That would be kind of the interval that the manufacturer recommends. Um, or you might have an issue where it's not fully regenerating because of the seventh injector problem, which we just talked about a moment ago. All right, let's go on to question number 3. All right, what do we got here? Can you talk a little more about SCR filters on a Hino, please? Um, I don't know what your question is necessarily. All SCRs, regardless of what truck they're on, do the same thing, and their job is to turn NOx or nitrogen oxides, which is an invisible pollutant that causes all sorts of issues causes asthma and it causes uh, a climate change type thing too, but it also causes smog. It's just kind of a mess. But the SCR, the selective catalytic reducer, works with the DEF, the diesel emissions fluid, and it will turn the nitrogen oxides first into ammonia, and then immediately converts that ammonia into nothing more than nitrogen and water. Um, so I don't know what questions you have about the SCR on the Hino. If you're having NOx conversion issues, definitely give us a call at 404-999-1361. We can get to the bottom of it. I have seen those Hinos get a buildup of kind of a rusty sand, and that needs to get cleaned out. But we can definitely do that. Give us a call or a text, 404-999-1361. Oh, just got a comment on the hat there. Um, and the hat looks good, man. You got the mechanic's beard. You could be a spokesmodel for Snap-on or something. And they could pay you in wrenches. All right, what do we have for question number 4? What is DEF made from, and what does it take to make it to your results? I'm not quite sure what that all means, but hold on a second. Let me try this again. Okay. Robert Pickett from TikTok. What is DEF made from? What it takes to make, and do your results. So DEF it's just it's 2 ingredients in DEF, and it's urea, which is a nitrogen compound. Basically, it's the same thing that, DEF and fertilizer are very similar. And it's 32.5% urea. And then the balance, which would be what, 77.5% deionized water, which is just distilled water with all the minerals out. I mean, that's it. It's all made synthetically. And there is no difference between brands of DEF. So if you want to buy your DEF at Walmart, by all means do so. DEF does have a shelf life. It doesn't like to be exposed to heat and air and sunlight. So definitely keep it, if you have a big bulk tank of DEF, make sure you keep it cool, or, keep it at, 70, like I think 75 degrees ish. Don't let that thing bake in the sun. And DEF is basically good for about 2 years, and then it needs to be replaced. So that's it. It's basically just water and urea, which is the nitrogen compound, and that's what turns your the NOx from your truck into water and nitrogen. But I'm glad that my hat is very popular as well. I love that. Okay, number 5. And this is one of those gotcha questions that people like to post, because they want me to go, does it go in the landfill? And I say yes, and then they go, oh well, that's just we should just put it in the air. It's better there. And I say, so the deal is the soot could go in the landfill, um, but it doesn't. We actually send it in and it's recycled. Um, and it depends the recycling on that, you know, it's going to go into tires or it'll be used for steel manufacturing. Sometimes used to make ink. If somebody's got a tattoo, you might actually have some diesel soot in your skin, believe it or not. Um, but it's non-hazardous material, but you don't want to breathe it because it's tiny, tiny particles. And you know, why would we pay to have it hauled to the landfill when someone will pay us to take it and recycle it? So it just gets recycled. Now, to kind of dig deeper with what Myers 822 was probably asking me here, because he wants me to go, it goes in the landfill, and then his next comment is, you know, well, it'd be better for the environment if we just put it in the air. I mean, that kind of saying like, you know, oh, what happens to that turd after you flush it down the, you know, flush it down the toilet? You know, it just ends up in the drinking water anyway, so we should just be able to shit anywhere. Um, it's, you know, anytime you're handling waste, it's got to go somewhere, and it's just a matter of having it go someplace where it doesn't cause any harm. And that's, you know, we're taking the stuff out of the air, it never goes in the air, and it is then put in a barrel and sent off where it is recycled. But it could go in the landfill, but why would I pay someone to haul it away when someone will pay me to haul it away for me? So there you go. All right, what's question number 6? Oh, what did you use to clean the valve? Okay, this is a good one. I've got to actually show you this video. Bear with me a minute. Hold on here. Let's jump into TikTok. So they watched a video that I posted about this EGR valve. I showed some really amazing before and after, and I had an awesome mustache when I made this video, but I got to find this baby. Where's my mustache? Oh, this one was funny. I kind of like this one here. This isn't the video I'm looking for, but oddly enough, pass. Oh, that's Ripple and Sound's truck, by the way. If that truck had a DPF, we could clean it. Oh, Brandon goes trucking. That's definitely a smash. All right. Okay, where was I here? Let's find this baby. All right. Come on. Man, sorry. I had this pulled up, and then I had another question. Hold on a second here. Let me find my... I'll find the comment. Bear with me a second. Oh, darn it. Well, anyway, you'll have to use your imagination when you think about the the video I was talking about here. But I showed a EGR valve. It was really nasty, and the after was the thing was just as clean as a whistle. I wish I could find this thing here. Oh well. But it was, and so the question is, what did you use to clean the valve? And so we use basically a caustic degreasing detergent to really get that stuff to let loose. But the number one thing that does the trick is our ultrasonic cleaner, and that really does a number on EGR valves. And we can get those things really clean, functioning really well. So that's how we clean that EGR. So if you've got an EGR valve that needs cleaning, we do that. 404-999-1361. And we can give you a hand with that if need be. All right, what do we got for number 7? All right, so this is an unusual one. Our 2021 X15 only has SCR. What happens with the soot? Well, you might be looking at the wrong parts, because you might not realize that 2021 X15 does have a DPF, because it actually would have had a DPF before it had an SCR. So the X15 has a very um, short after treatment system. It's probably all of, man, not even 3 feet long, couple feet long, and it's very compact. The DOC is very flat. The DPF is, probably only about that big, and so you might be simply not realizing that there's a DPF in there. Now, however, there is some equipment, some generators, some railroad equipment, etc. And it's really weird because it'll have a DOC, no DPF, and we'll have an SCR. You need the DOC to produce the heat needed so that the SCR works, but there is no DPF. The soot just flies into the air. But in the case of year 2021 X15, that thing's got it's got a DPF. There's no doubt about it. All right, number 8. All right, so when you're doing this with a vehicle, you're actually using a pile of fuel to do a regen. So how efficient is all this nonsense when you're just trying to burn unburned soot? That's why we tell people, don't just repeatedly regen your truck. If your truck's calling for a parked regen, it's time to get everything cleaned. And if you keep your DPF cleaned, use a good fuel additive, such as Clean Air Fleet. Text additive to 404-999-1361, and but you will minimize your fuel usage and maximize the life span of your DPF. So anyway, it's all about keeping the soot out of the air. All right, what do we have for? Oh man, we're at number 9. What's this one? Have you ever had one you couldn't save? He says he's changed more than a few DPFs for bypassing, but have never seen inside one that was completely blocked beyond repair. Curious if they melt. So I would say that with our shop, it's probably, maybe 1% of the 1%, 10%. Depends. It kind of varies it's somewhat, up and down, right? But it's rare that we have a PF that we can't clean. But sometimes, because of some condition upstream, usually low compression, turbo failure, overfueling, what'll happen is the temperature stress can cause the DPFs to crack, and then they're no good. Or you can just melt them. It's hard to do. They can really handle a lot of heat, but everything's got a melting point. And if I've seen them come in and I've got videos of this, they come in just tore up, and those have to be replaced. But when someone says my DPF is too dirty to be cleaned, there's no such thing. No such thing as at all. So if the DPF is in physically intact, it can be cleaned. Just so you know. All right. So now, guess what? That is it. I'm going to quick check to see if we got anything on. Oh, here we go. Oh, beautiful. So I'm going to show this one here. This one just came in from YouTube. Thank you very much, Shirag Barot. I am probably pronouncing that incorrectly, and I apologize. So he says, I have a Freightliner Cascadia DD13 2013, changed one box in 2022. Now, when heavy load, mainly starting try to stall, I have give gas very slowly, have some time. So 2022, how many miles have you put on the truck since you got the one box put on? And it's possible that the reason that you changed the one box, again, it might not have needed changing. Your one box might have been fine. But then again, maybe you had a hairline crack in it. It needed to get changed. But too often, I have dealerships they're immediate. They go through the trouble tree and, check this, check this, and then immediately it's, give us $13,000 for a new one box. And you don't always need a new one box. So definitely call us first at, what's the number? 404-999-1361. But I'm going to give me a second here. I'm going to type to this gentleman. Um, okay, so I just said, so he said, doing a parked regen. I see now smoke comes from bottom of one box. You should never see smoke coming out. And in fact, I'd be very concerned about that because um, if it's letting smoke out, it's letting heat out, and that hot exhaust can actually start your cab on fire. So you want to be very careful with that. Um, if you see smoke coming out of the one box, it's possible that uh, when you bought the one box, they took the filters from your old one box and put them in the new one box, and they didn't put the filters in properly, and you have an exhaust leak. That's that is not unheard of, but you want to be very careful with that because the exhaust coming out of that is over 1,000 degrees and will start your truck on fire and damage your harness and everything else. So I would highly recommend you come and see us, or at least talk to us at 404-999-1361. And that 2013, and anybody else out there with a Detroit engine with 500,000 or more miles on it, if you have not gotten an overhead done, gotten your valves adjusted, get that done. Because without the valve adjustment, you have low compression in one or more of the cylinders. That low compression will cause the fuel to burn incompletely, and that will produce excessive soot, which will plug up your DPS. But what's worse is the unburned fuel will produce excessive heat, which will crack your DPFs and will also uh, potentially damage your one box over time. So be careful with that. Let's see what we got here. So after changing the one box, only 60,000 kilometers. Shirag, are you from the US? Because if you are, I would say book a load to Atlanta. Let's take a look at that. But if you're bombing around in Europe or Africa or someplace else, I can't help you out too much there. But you can always email us. My email address is j.went. I'm James Went, j.wendt@dpfguys.com. And I can definitely help you out. Hang on a second here. So he's from Canada. Okay. What province are you in Canada? I was in Vancouver in the summer. It was what a great city. But okay, and then let's jump this off here. Bear with me for a second. And definitely, reach out to us about the additive. Text additive, ADDITIVE, to 404-999-1361, 404-999-1361. And we'll definitely help you out. Just remember, yeah, I'm urging you never to travel to Tijuana. Okay, what do we got here? So that's it. Thank you. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say thank you just yet. I say thank you, but let's take a look at what we got coming in on TikTok here. Let's pop over number 3. I always hate to miss these questions on TikTok because people are so patient. Okay, so I've got a Isuzu NPR. Says the DPF is full, but the dealership just did a regen, and they say they can't initialize it. Oh man, so I don't know what does this. I don't know what does this at all, but that Isuzu can just be a bear. because it will just not want to regen. It's like it doesn't take the commands. Um, what I would probably do is see if they can update all of your control modules, your ECM, your ACM, um, and then try it again. It might just be a software thing where their diagnostics tool does not know how to talk to your control modules because they've got a more recent diagnostics tool. I would treat this as a software issue, and I would do an update to your truck's computers and then try again. Um, I have never actually personally done this, but I've talked to some mechanics that were incredibly frustrated by this Isuzu thing, and I think they solved it by doing an update. So I would recommend I would treat this as a software issue, do an update, turn it off, and turn it back on again like a computer, and see what it does. Um, but that's a great question. I wish I had a better answer for you on that one. There's a mechanic in Atlanta. His name is Cesar Esquivel. Is the his company is Rock Diesel Service. He's over in Ellenwood, Georgia, right down the road from us. Um, the and he is really kind of a whiz with the Isuzus and the Hinos. If you want to get a hold of him, text me at 404-999-1361, and I'll make the introduction to my friend Caesar. Andrew's mechanic. So I'm going to screenshot this for future reference. Our fleet clean DPF filters every 200,000 miles. Is that a good interval? And the answer to that is yeah. That's a good solid interval. We handle Ryder, and their interval is 150,000, and which to me is probably a little aggressive on the cleaning side, but I think it comes what am I thinking? I was distracted by a question that came in. But basically that means that, some of the trucks probably get their DPFs cleaned at 150, some are 225. 200,000 is a good interval. You could, it's never going to be, it might be too soon for some of the trucks, depending upon how they're driven. But 200,000, your fleet takes good care of those trucks. The question I'd also have is what type of trucks are they? If they're Freightliner Cascadias with Detroits, 200,000 might be a little aggressive because those things can go 300,000-400,000 pretty comfortably. But you're not going to hurt anything by doing that as a PM. It'll only help you. And statistically, looking at fleets that literally have tens of thousands of trucks, they find that the most cost efficient way to manage the DPFs on a big fleet, where you don't really know how the truck's being driven, do it every 200,000 miles. You'll never have an issue, and it'll actually be cheaper in the long run. All right, I had a question come in from YouTube here. Let's take a look. Oh man, that's awesome. That came in. So this is the question that's answered to Kel Parker. And that's the one that said the Isuzu MPR, and I'm recommending Kel. I recommend that you do an update on all of the control modules, all the software in the truck, and then try again. This is really kind of an issue where the diagnostic software just for some reason doesn't want to talk to the truck. Do an update and see if that fixes it, and then cross your fingers. All right, what else we got here? And I did, thank you so much. I'm glad I got to answer your question on the live. Who the heck was that? That was so here's we were talking about the we were talking about his Freightliner. And he sent me a text. Thank you for sending that in. Hang on a second. And all right, I'm going to answer your question live. And I can also do it by, he said, Shelley, this is the one I said that you shouldn't see any smoke when you're doing a regen, and then be very careful with that, because that smoke, where the smoke, there's heat, and that can damage your truck if it goes in the wrong spot, and definitely melt your harnesses and what have you. So he goes, shall I open and see if the clamps are loose or broken? it's only 6 bolts that hold that heat shield on, and, it wouldn't be a bad idea to pop the heat shield off the side of the one box, um, and just look and see if you see any smoke or, any black soot around, normally it'd be the wide band clamps, or any soot on the inside of your one box that might indicate that you have a leak. Now, like I had said, uh, you don't want to, have a leak in your exhaust system, because that exhaust, when you do a regen, is like a blowtorch and will start your truck on fire, melt your harnesses, basically cause a ruckus that you don't want to deal with. Um, but uh, but you shouldn't see any soot on the inside of your one box. Also, if you have an exhaust leak, it can prevent the truck from properly regenerating, because the heat is not going where it needs to go. So you want to definitely look at that. That's why when we clean up the DPFs for a Freightliner Cascadia, um, and we always do the whole one box, because that's just the right way to do it. And the difference in price between just doing the filters plus the clamps and gaskets versus doing the whole one box, which includes the clamps and gaskets and everything like that, is probably about $700. Um, and it's just better to do the whole thing. And it also, when we have the whole one box out, we are able to ensure that we get everything put back in properly, because we have much better access to it versus struggling to get in there and take filters out and put them back in. Um, all right, who else do I got here? Oh man, Art Wells, get an SCR, okay. Um, Can an SCR and a Cummins be cleaned to help with SCR efficiency codes? 2014 Freightliner M2. So this is going to be a, hold on a second, so I want to make sure I'm not missing anything over here. All right. So Art is asking about the SCR and a Cummins on a Freightliner M2. So I would suspect the following. Art, if you were to look at the tailpipe, the duck bill, or whatever they want to call it, I bet you're going to find that there is soot on your tailpipe. And I don't care what truck you have, an M2, Cascadia, Mack, Volvo, Isuzu NPR, uh, Dodge Ram 2500 with a diesel engine. If you have soot on your tailpipe, your DPF is broken, and it shouldn't be. So, but on your truck, that Freightliner M2, I will be willing to bet that you have 250,000 or more miles on that truck, and you have bad injectors. That Freightliner M2's got a Cummins 6.7 engine, and that Cummins 6.7 is absolutely guaranteed. Just do not pass go, do not collect your whatever. It is guaranteed to have bad injectors at 250,000 miles or more. So what I'm guessing, and again, I could be wrong, but I rarely am with this particular diagnosis. That Freightliner M2 with a Cummins engine, you have SCR issues, and that is likely because your injectors are bad. It's overfueling. It cracked your DPF. It's also running very, very sooty, which is it'll do when the injectors go bad. And don't listen to your mechanic if he says, I don't see any injector codes. He's not going to see any injector codes, because this particular issue, this particular thing with that M2, the problem is that the tip of your injector is failing, and there's no electronics, there's nothing that the diagnostic system can do. It can monitor the little circuit board on the injector, but this tip of the injector, it's just the tip, as they say, and you're not going to find out, other than the symptoms, which is high soot level, cracked DPFs, SCR not working right. So work your way upstream. Injectors failing, overfueling, too much heat, too much soot. The excessive heat over time will crack your DPF, and then that soot goes through and gets into your SCR. It poisons your SCR, meaning your SCR now has a layer of soot on it. That layer of soot prevents the SCR from making contact with the exhaust properly, so that it can pull all that NOx out of it, and it's going to give you SCR codes. So the to truly fix this, 6-pack of injectors, probably a new DPF, clean the DOC, clean the SCR. Um, hang on a second here. I gotta do my little. Are you still alive? Yes, I am. All right. So M2, 6 pack of injectors, replace your DPF, clean your DOC, clean your SCR, and you will be good to go. And that's just, I mean, I don't even hesitate. If someone's got a Freightliner M2 with a Cummins engine, I am truly surprised. I am truly surprised when the filter is not cracked. And um, so that's, 6 pack of injectors, clean your DOC, replace your DPF, clean your SCR. And we can help you with all of that if you are in our neighborhood. I'm going to quick check over here, check over here. Art, tell you what, it was my pleasure. I'm glad you asked the question. Oh, hold on a second. 189,000 miles. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on. Let's see what I got here, Art. There you go. Okay. So there's you, Art. I don't take back anything I said, but it doesn't apply to you because probably well, if it's got a complete engine replacement, that means it probably has new injectors and everything else. And the problems you are seeing downstream in the SCR, you still need a new DPF and a clean the DOC unless they replaced all that stuff. But the problems you are seeing in the SCR were caused by whatever issue happened in the previous engine. And that's that. I mean, so I have a feeling that everything's cool with the truck now if it's got an engine replacement, but you still have some housekeeping to do downstream in the after treatment. And I mean, to clean an SCR, $225. It's not bad. They're easy to get off, easy to put back on. And then, of course, check the DPF, see if it's cracked. If it's cracked, replace that. A new DPF for, a Freightliner M2 with a Cummins engine. Don't quote me exactly. I'm guessing somewhere between $1,200 and $14 brand new. You can't find those used because the trucks just eat them up. But our brand new DPFs would have a 3-year warranty, and we can ship anywhere in the US. So if you need help with that, please write down our number, 404-999-1361, and I'd be happy to help you out. How often? Okay, here's a good one. So, how often do you recommend changing the DEF filter? I don't know. That's if you're actually talking about DEF, the diesel exhaust fluid filter. Um, I'm thinking it's a fairly cheap thing, and um, and if it gets plugged up, you're not gonna, you run the risk of damaging your DEF pump, which is going to be a lot more expensive than a filter. Um, and I don't know what the interval recommended on that. But it would depend on your truck. Hold on a second. Let me quick check something here. Hold on. It says annually or every 120 to 150,000 miles. So it's typically, here's rule of thumb: change your DEF filter every 100,000 miles. And so whatever any other service you do every 100,000 miles is kind of remember to grab a DEF filter and change that as well. So there you have it. Google helped me answer that one. I am so smart. Okay. Thank you for the likes, man. That makes me feel good. If anybody out there, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. That's what I'm saying hi to. Hello. RWHS mechanic. Amazingly enough, you don't see many female mechanics. Um, all right, I am hungry. My wife's making pork chops tonight. That sounds really good. Oh man, mashed potatoes would be good with that. All right, what do we got here? Anything else come in? Okay. Here's the question. I'm changing the PM sensor tomorrow. Do you have any suggestions on what I should look at? Um, what truck are we talking about here for the PM sensor? So tell me that one. What you put a new PM sensor on? I'm not going to keep you too long here. Mac. So the filters, the DPF filters on a Mac, are some of the most robust, durable, bomb-proof DPFs on any truck I've seen. So if you're having PM sensor issues, it's just, and those PM sensors are a little shitty. It just seems like they're made really cheaply. And also all of those sensors, whether they be NOx sensors or PM sensors, have a lot of moving, non-moving parts, a lot of electronics in them, and they do have they need to be hot, so they'll actually have like little heating elements and things in them, and they're very sensitive to being banged and dropped, etc. But what I would do is pull the PM sensor. um, oh yeah, it's time to change it. Just make sure the PM sensor doesn't have soot on it, because if it does, then obviously it's sensing particulate matter, it's sensing the PM. Um, but and those things can be a little reluctant to come out. So I hope that it backs out for you. Um, I don't think they normally don't do cores on PM sensors. So if it fights you, just cut it off and put an impact on it and crank it out. Hopefully the threads, just basically get some good penetrating oil on that and tap it so you don't rip your threads loose. Um, but then be very careful with the new one. Don't drop it. Don't bang it. Um, and make sure that use a little bit of anti-seize. I mean, pay it forward, but be delicate with it. Make sure you get the anti-seize just on the threads, not up into the PM sensor. Um, but yeah, I mean, and just check to make sure that there's that soot sensor doesn't have soot on it, because that would indicate that you have a DPF that's cracked. And then we have the handsome and talented Clinton Kirker, back from helping out Taylor Swift set up her stage. And Clinton, I believe I will be seeing you tomorrow. And so Clinton Kirker is the reason that I have this clean air fleet. Because Clinton, I've told this story 100 times before. Got to switch my video here. Just realized my DPF guys are back. So Clinton had sent me a message. I think it was on TikTok, and that he goes, "Hey man, I've got 480,000 miles on my Freightliner Cascadia with an X15 engine, and I've never even done a park regen. Is something wrong?" And my response was, what I say, Clinton, I said, not for you, but for me, because I'm not making any money if you're not, if your DPF's not getting dirty. But then the thing is, like, what the heck are you doing? Now, what Clinton is doing is basically he's doing everything right, with the exception of his attraction to hairless cats, because they're just weird. But other than that, he's doing everything right. And he's using the Clean Air Fleet additive. And he's also using full synthetic oil from AMSOIL, and he's using the 1 micron fuel filtration, 1 micron bypass oil filtration. And let's see if I can get you. So requested to join. I didn't see. But anyway, but the way that he's using the fuel additive and using really good full synthetic oil, that engine is running super clean, running super efficiently. And Clinton sees that efficiency in a number of ways. One of them is, his DPF is now at 590,000 miles, basically, and his truck is still not called for a park regen, but it's reading about 70% soot level or ash level. So he's bringing it in to get his DPF cleaned. And at that point, once we get that done, that truck should go another 500,000 plus miles. He'll be at 1 million miles before he needs to get that DPF cleaned. And maybe by then he'll be buying a new truck. Bye, RWHS. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. So, and the good synthetic oil, because um, how your cylinders are lubricated with your engine oil is that a tiny amount of oil gets burned with in your engine, and the 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 better your oil is, the less it burns, and that's where the full synthetic is nice. And the metals that produce the DPF ash, those metals do come from the motor oil. Um, and and so if you get if you burn less oil, if you use a better oil, um, Lion 79, Cowboys 9. Holy cow, almost a blowout. Um, but and that all translates to a healthier engine, better fuel economy, and unfortunately for me, fewer DPF cleanings. But that's great for, I always tell people I want to see you again, but not too soon. So Clinton, I look forward to seeing you, your wife, and your strange cats tomorrow. Um, and so, hey, anybody out there that's on the live, if you are not following me on TikTok, why not do that? And the uh, and if you have not gone to youtube.com/DPF Guys, do that. Make sure that you follow us and subscribe to our DPF Guys channel on YouTube. All right, speaking of YouTube, I've got a question that just came in. How bad sign is white exhaust pipe? Actually, so that is from uh, Alex Z, and he's asking how bad a sign is a white exhaust pipe, and that's not bad at all. That is normal. That is just some of the residue from the SCR. Some trucks will produce more of that white residue than others, um, but I would not worry about that at all. That means everything is actually functioning properly. So you're in good shape, my friend Alex. If you have any other questions at all, make sure you put them in the comments below, or just text us at 404-999-1361. Man, I tell you what, I love the fact that we're getting some questions on YouTube here. That is awesome. Hang on a second. Who's out there? Okay, so Corey Jensen says, "How white is it?" I guess the question being is it raisins in your potato salad white? Is it I don't is it Kenny G white? Um, but yeah, so Corey, I don't worry about white on the exhaust pipe. It normally is a pretty good, and usually it's a tiny amount. Now if it looks like you've got snow on it, but I bet it's just a dusting, and that's perfectly cool. That's perfectly okay. And Alex says, "Thanks." And to Alex, I say, "You are very, very welcome." It's my pleasure. All right, what do we got coming on TikTok here? Anything good? Oh, ETA around noon. Beautiful. So Clinton, just make sure that James knows you're coming. I've got we should have a spot for you. And you're coming in. Are you coming in bobtail, or do you have a trailer? I think you're coming in bobtail. If you need a spot for your trailer, I could probably find one for you. But and we'll keep you overnight and get everything, get your original equipment back on the truck. In some cases we'll do a swap, but I'd like to actually keep everything original on that truck and not put something in there that's been on anyone else's truck, to make sure everything stays consistent. Also, if you do need to pick up some additive, we do have a couple cases of the 1 gallons, and I think I've got one of the 2.5 gallons left if you want to fill up your Clean Air Fleet dosing tank. RWHS, I thought you were going to go eat dinner. I tell you what, I would be. Where are you located? And I mean, are you nearby? Would be I'd be maybe I could come by your shop and do a class, or you would come to Atlanta and we could show you the whole thing. But and I would love to share this with you and help you. Oh, Eagle Pass, Texas. Okay, so you're in Texas, not that far away, but um, maybe sometime I'll take a trip to Texas, and if if you've got a few people you want to get together, we'll do a we'll do a half a day and help you out any way I can, or just see if you can get a ticket to Atlanta and come and see us, and come in the morning, and you can boogie out in the afternoon, be back home for dinner. Patriot Wally, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, everybody. Um, yeah, RWHS, do me a favor. Either uh, if you want to just message me your contact info, or text me at 404-999-1361, and maybe we get something worked out. It'd be I'd love to share some knowledge and help you guys out. All right. This was a good live. I mean, this was great. Um, and I didn't get to use a lot of my sounds, but maybe we can try some other time. But now that we've had a chance to share information, but just make sure you don't piss off Greta Thunberg. What else do I have here? Got some air brakes. Oh, DQ burger. I love DQ burgers. This, I tell you what, Talladega Nights. No idea what that means, but I love it. Oh, what I got here? I love the air horn sound. I don't know why that just makes me happy. Then there's this one. I just made these today. I thought I have I'm easily amused. Oh, you know what? That's because you're on TikTok. I'm sorry. If you're on, I'm sitting here just like, wee, this is so much fun. And then forgetting that in order for you to see that or hear that, you'd have to be watching me on one of the other platforms, um, such as YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or LinkedIn. But go to YouTube. American Iron Man. Hey, you remember last time we tried this and we couldn't hear you? I'm going to invite you just for a test, and I'm about 4 minutes away from happy hour here and some dinner. So, but let's get you on and see if the audio works. You ready? So I'm not sure. Again, this is a test. This is only a test. Oh, look at this. All right, can you hear me now? Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. There we go. Try again. All right, this is awesome. Okay, so I wonder, can you hear this? Or the crickets? I'm not sure. But okay, that's because all right, so American Eye, where are you located? Where are you at? I should probably know this. Okay. Yep. Really? Um, I've got one of the mechanics I work with, he kind of cycled through, went to last he was at Cummins, but got hired by Grounds. I forget the name of the company. I saw it on his shirt. I forgot it though. But yeah, they're he'll be, he was just in Colorado and now they're sending him to Maine or whatever. But yeah, he handles the ground support stuff. It might be the same company. But yeah, they're flying him all over the place. God, oh, I see. Okay, so you're not working on the tugs and things like that, like this guy is. Okay. Are you ever in Atlanta at the big, tech ops and at the airport? 'Cause that you can build a plane from scratch there, I think. Okay. Nice. Well, I tell you, I appreciate you following and your support and your comments. It's definitely nice because I know, sometimes people get a little sassy and are, trying to bark at me about, how I'm a jackbooted thug or whatever. I'm just like, hey man, I don't make the laws, I just make it easier to comply with them. I I tell you what, it was really sink or swim and thankfully I've got plenty of like nice, smart people that have been willing to share knowledge with me, and I've been trying to do the same in return. And you know, not a day goes by where I don't learn something new. Cool beans. And I'm trying to think of anything else come in. And I tell you, it's in every week this gets better as far as like managing audio. Clinton said that he couldn't hear me on YouTube or couldn't hear you on YouTube. You should be able to. I don't know. But like I said, we don't expect perfection, but we demand excellence is our company kind of our company slogan here. Um, but yeah, if you ever end up in Atlanta at the busiest airport in the world, installing engine slings or whatever, make sure you let me know ahead of time. We'll invite you in for a tour. Cool. Well, tell you what, I'm going to let you and everybody else go, and I'm going to go get something to eat before I pass out. Um, but but I certainly appreciate everybody, and thank you very much for joining. Thanks for being a guest here for a minute. And I'd actually like to maybe get a little more in depth with you at some point, and we could talk about something people might be interested in, some industry stuff or whatever it might be. But anyway, so thank you very much. I'm going to let everybody go. Have a great night and a safe week ahead. And I appreciate your time and thanks for joining us. Take care. Bye bye. Okay. I want a quick check to see if I got any other stuff that came in. Good deal. Okay, so I would call this a success. I wish I had pause here. Well, let's do this. Yeah, it was a good one. And so thank you everybody, because your participation in these lives are more important than me. So thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions for us about DPF service or about what we do or everything else, 404-999-1361 is our number. If you want to learn more about the fuel additive, of course, look at the number on the bottom of the screen, text the word additive to 404-999-1361, and we will do our best to help you out. And other than that, thanks so much for everybody who joined us and the questions. If you're watching this video after the fact, don't be shy. Please type your questions in the comment or text us a question at 404-999-1361. Even if you leave a question after the live is done, I will see it and I can respond to it. So no matter where you might be watching this, YouTube, Facebook, etc., if you have a question, something comes to mind, just drop it in the comments below and I will answer it and we will get you going. So that's it. Have a great week ahead. Be safe and have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
You got the tools, the skills, the might to get your truck rolling clean into the night. Throttle up, feel that clean airflow. Our service so slick, your ride seals the show. DPF guys, we got the fifth so fine. Hit the road with confidence. Now the world's your shrine. Bringing that rig, let's get on track. Breathe easy with no sooty black.